welcome back to my channel. My name is Laura. Today is Friday, so I'm filming Friday Reads. I have one book that I completed on audiobook, and I will have my old self come back and tell you my review. So I finished another book. This is book 2 of March Mystery Madness. I listened to this on audiobook, so I listened to Out. Yes. So this book takes place in Japan, so the people's names are not very hard to distinguish. For listening to it, I was getting confused of the characters. So the main story is about a woman who gets attacked by her husband. He's very aggressive and he just attacks her. And then she gets fed up and she strangles him and kills him. So it's actually in the synopsis, so I'm telling you, it happens in the very beginning of the book. And she goes to work. I don't know if she works in a factory or whatever. She goes to work and she asks her coworkers to help her get rid of the body. So the rest of the book is just, I was dragging it. I just didn't really like the rest of the book, but I continued listening because I did own the audiobook and I wanted to know what was going to happen. So if you like books like Dexter, because it gets really, really dark, yes, this book is for you. If you don't like dark books, I would not suggest reading this one. So yeah, it gets really, really dark. As for my rating, I'm giving it 3 stars, mainly because they spoiled the whole book. I was just wanted to know about the wife and the husband, and I didn't feel like I got that, and it just went on and on and on, and it just got brutal. Mind you, I was listening to this on audiobook, and I'm sitting in the car waiting for my kids at the dentist, and it's very brutal. There is a rape, and it's brutal, and I have it on my audio in the car, and I was listening to it, and I was like, I was kind of embarrassed listening to this in the car. So yeah, because I was sitting in the parking lot waiting for my kids. I'm like watching, making sure no one's around me. So Out, giving it 3 stars. I didn't really like it, but I did finish it. So that's a plus because I did finish it and did not DNF it. And yeah, so 3 stars for this one. As far as what I'm currently reading and stuck in, okay, so I'm in a few books and I feel like I'm in a reading slump because every time I sit down to read, I either fall asleep or I just don't feel like reading the book. So anyway, I am reading Asylum. I read 3 chapters, I believe, so 3 attempts that I tried to read this book. As it takes place in Canada, and there are some words in here that I don't know. I don't know if it's written in French or it's written in some other language beside English. So I'm a little struggling with that part. So I find myself skipping just to read the English that I understand. So yeah, it's a little struggle for me, but I do want to read this one because I liked the premise of the girls being in an asylum and they can't leave. And yeah, it seems pretty interesting. I think there was a murder, and yeah, so I'm gonna read on, but as I said, I'm skipping words, which brings my star rating down. So yeah, that's how I rate a book. If I can read the book from cover to cover, it gets a 5 star. If I struggle for any type of reading and I start skipping words, that's when I drop it down a star. So right now, this book is at a 4. It could drop down to a 3 depending on what type of book. Yeah, so that's how I rate my books. Okay, so that's the first book. The second book I am in the middle of is Tell No One. I didn't read much of this. Actually read 2 chapters, so I am on chapter 3. The way I read is I set a time limit, so I have to read for an hour in the morning, and sometimes I read at night in an hour, and sometimes I just read per chapter depending on what type book I am reading. So I sat 2 times with this book, read 2 chapters. And I enjoyed what I read. I will continue on. So, yeah, so I have to force myself to pick this one up and read more. This takes place in New Jersey. Really like that aspect because I kind of like feel like I was in the book. This is from a New Jersey author, so I'm enjoying this. We'll continue reading this one. Okay, so this morning I decided, let me pick up the book that came out of the mystery bags. And I read this morning, but I was super tired. My back was hurting. I took some Advil, and while I was reading this book, I kind of fell asleep. So I did start reading Last Man Standing. I did not get very far. I'm still in chapter 1. I read 7 pages and I passed out. So yeah, I'm going to read more. I want to give David Balducci another try. I have read one of his books before and I loved it. I think it was called The Summer, something with summer in it. And I really enjoyed it. I have not read his political books, so I'm going to attempt to read this one. But the font is very, very tiny, as you can see, and I wear glasses. So this one I'll have to read it by chapter or read it by like 10, 15-minute sprints and see if I could get through and read more of this one. Okay, so what else have I been reading? Oh, the guest list. I have this book and I have Scribd. And I took the audiobook out because I know that I'm not going to finish it and I want to do some sewing. So in order to do some sewing and listening to an audiobook is what I've been doing. So I did make a bookmark. It's not on the right page, but I did make a Harry Potter bookmark, which is pretty cool. This is made out of fabric. I think I showed it in my last video, but that's what I'm using in this book. And I am listening to it on audio, and the audiobook is pretty cool because this has a lot of POVs, and every POV has a different voice. So someone else is reading the narrative. So it's pretty interesting as it switches narratives, and it very interesting. So hopefully I will finish this with the audiobook, and I am going to show you what I've been stitching as I've been reading this thing. So I think that's it that I've been, and I'm still reading Death by Dumpling on here, and I did get my Chinese food on Saturday, so yeah, I need to read more of this. I didn't get very far. I don't think I read much since last Friday. So let's see what I'm up to. I am on page 87 of Death by Dumpling. So yeah, I didn't move very far, but that's what I'm reading on my Kindle. I think that is all that I started. Yeah, that's it that I started. Okay, so while I'm listening to the guest list, I have been sewing, and I actually took out my sewing machine and I found lots of free patterns on YouTube and then on the blogs and stuff. So let me share the first one that I made. I found a Home is a Block stitch along, and this one I think has 10 blocks out already. I'm not sure because I went back to block 1 and I wanted to make block 1, and I'm going to show you block 1. I did this on my sewing machine and I am starting to hand stitch on top of it, doing it like a quilt as you go, and I really like how this turned out. So here is my block. It is 14 by 14 size. I added the numbers because I plan to use this as a front cover of a fabric book. And if you can see, I've been stitching. Let me get really close here. I've been stitching across here, hand stitching. I did the chimney. I did the heart. I added the heart applique on there. I'm working on the front of the house right now. I did the stitching here, and I added a doorknob to the door. If you could see that, I found an old button that I had in my stash, and I'm working on the clocks. What I'm doing with the clocks is I'm doing a chain stitch around the clocks. I don't know if you can see the black. See the black there? I'm doing a chain stitch around there. I did chain stitch there already. So I'm going to chain stitch the rest of this. That's what I'm working on now. I started to do some daisies on the bottom. So here are my daisies. If you can see that there. I started stitching daisies using the chain stitch and French knots as the yellow. And I plan to do that across the whole bottom. So I get bored very quickly. So I jump from thing to thing to thing. So I have to work on more of these flowers. I plan to do flowers going across. I think I'm going to do like the half one, the full one, the half one, the full one, and going across there. I'm going to find something to work in this brown. See this brown here that's going across? I'm going to find another stitch that I could stitch with both and do something in between. That's my thoughts of that. And also on the top, see how there's a line going straight across? I want to do something there. So what and notice that Daisy is in the windows. So I don't know if I'm going to put ruffle over here, ruffle on the top like a blind or a curtain. And I thought that would be really cool. So, and I also have this little guy in the corner, not that page, this one, here he is he there? Oh, he's on the side. Here you go. See the little guy there? So I put that little guy in the corner. So, yeah, and I stitched on the 2021. So what I'm doing with this, I want to use this as a book cover, and this will be the front page of my cover. I'm going to use some of the other patterns that they gave us as the back, the inside, and the, because they're the same size. This is 14 by 14. I could stitch another block on the back of this, and then I'm going to add a spine. And then I'm going to add some blocks that I've done in 2021 inside the book. So this is going to be fun. I'm really enjoying working on this. This thing was quilted, not quilted. I did quilting. I pieced it together. So the house was pieced together, but the stitching on the top is slow stitched. And I'm doing it on batting. So, yeah, so I'm going to glue and sew together another block. So make it the cover. So that's how I'm working that. The second item that I am working on, I think I showed this in the last one. I'm making a bigger book, and I did not work on the cover yet, but I think I showed it in a video. This is my cover, and what this is the whole cover, so this does not have the spine. So what's happening is you fold it like this, and my spine will be these flowers in the books. So that's going to be my spine. I'm making this for my monthly blocks. It's not sewn down yet. That's why it's all flipping. I just have it tacked down where the placement where I want it to go. So this will be the front. It has the girl reading. And then the back will have all books. So here's the back. And my spine has books as well. And I had a part of the girl that cut up because I only had a quarter fabric for this. My pens are coming out. So I only had a quarter fabric for this, so I used up the whole thing and chopped it up to where I wanted it to go. So that's the front cover. It's going to be sewn together. I'm going to put the 2021 on the bottom here. I already made January, February, March, so that will go inside of this. I have to make my April block still. I haven't designed it yet, but it's definitely going to have a bunny in it and maybe some eggs. I've been collecting patterns, so we'll do that. So the inside of that book is this one, and I've showed this on my Instagram. I'm using this big piece of fabric that I got, and I got some Notion fabric. Now this is already sewn, the bottom. I already did the straight stitching going across. I did a blanket stitch to stitch the two pieces together. And then what I'm doing is I'm working on the different pieces. So I did the chair and the girl's hair there. And I'm going to continue working on this while I'm watching Walking Dead. Yes, I started watching it. I'm on season 2. So I am watching that, and I did the hair on this guy here, this girl here. Yeah, my French knots are really curly. I gotta learn how to make it not so curly, but she has curly hair there. So that's what I've been working on. And you can see my back. Here's my back. So it's on batting that I'm sewing this on, so you can see my batting. But this is going to be covered up with the front piece that I just showed you. I am going to sew this. When this is finished, I'm going to sew this to this, like that. And then it makes a book cover. And then I'm going to put signature pages in the middle. And that's where my blocks will go, in the middle of this. And really liking this project. I'm learning a lot. I'm having such a fun time hand stitching. So especially while I'm watching TV, like I always need to do something while I'm watching TV. Usually I'm like on Facebook, searching, scrolling. But now I am using my creativity and stitching while I'm watching TV. So thank you for watching. I will see you in another video. Hopefully I'll have something else to update. Yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.